All right, let's get some things in order. Who is ESPN predicting to leave the Indiana Fever in free agency? Who are they predicting to leave all of these teams? This is the most free agents in WNBA history. Everybody is trying to cash in on this new CBA. We got to figure out who is about to be leaving Caitlyn Clark and the Indiana Fever, along with some of the other teams. I think there are a few players that are going to be demanding.
Let's start with the shock that blew up social media this week.
It's very uncertain for the entire league in general, but you're a free agent for the first time. Have you thought about what free agency might look like for you if you'd like to be back?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a restricted free agent, so I think that changes things a little bit, but I've loved my years here in Indiana. So obviously with a lot of uncertainty, you don't know what's to come, but I've built a life here, and I love this franchise. I love the people, I love the fans, so we'll see what comes. Elliot?
Listen, Caitlyn Clark isn't just changing the league anymore. She's changing her own front office. Reports are everywhere that Clark quietly pushed Indiana management to keep Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull. These are two of her closest allies, and she wanted them, no matter the cost. And get this, it actually worked. So what do you think? Is Clark right to use her power like this, or is she crossing a line as a player? For weeks, we kept hearing that Lexie Hull was totally done in Indiana. Remember all those tearful goodbyes? Those farewell posts? Plus, there were all these rumors she was already packing for a new team. Well, guess what? That whole story was basically fake news. Just a bunch of half quotes and clickbait. Because here's what happened. Caitlyn Clark stepped in. She made sure Lexie Hull and Sophie Cunningham weren't going anywhere. Multiple sources are saying Clark went straight to Fever management and made it super clear. These two players, they're off limits. She wants them back. She needs that stability. She wants people she trusts on the court with her next season. And honestly, she's completely right. Clark's second year is huge for this franchise. It's make or break. The Fever went from being at the bottom of the league to a semi-final team, and a lot of that is because of her. It's also about the chemistry she built with players like Lexie and Sophie. You can literally see it happen on the court. Every time Clark drives and then kicks it out to Lexie for a corner three, or Sophie hustles for a putback rebound, it just feels so natural. That kind of chemistry, you cannot buy that in free agency. But the media, of course, twisted it into some big soap opera. Caitlyn Clark saves friends from being cut, just sells better than Fever use restricted free agent rights like every other team. So let's get things straight. Lexie Hull is a restricted free agent. That means Indiana totally controls her future. They can match any offer another team throws her way. She never actually said goodbye. She just said she was unsure, which is what literally every player says before negotiations even start. But the game changer, it was Caitlyn Clark's reaction. She went public on Lexie's post and just commented 3 words, "So proud of you." That wasn't a goodbye, not at all. That was a signal. It was her subtle way of saying, "I got you." And trust me, the front office in Indiana saw it, because when Clark publicly backs someone, you better believe ownership pays attention. This isn't 2023 anymore. Caitlyn Clark isn't just a player on the roster, she's a brand worth millions. Her voice carries just as much weight as anyone on the coaching staff or the board. Now, why does this actually matter? Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull might not be the highest scorers on the team, but they bring something priceless. Pure edge and unwavering loyalty. That's the stuff that held this team together when half the lineup was injured and out.
Really, really good. Actually, I'm just actually really motivated, and I think I'm at a really good spot in my life where like I'm just excited to just like pour into my body, pour into things that I enjoy, and I'm just so excited for this upcoming season because I don't know where I'm gonna be, and I just feel like in the W, your golden years, I would say, is anywhere from 28 to 34.
Remember when Clark got hurt late in the season? Sophie was the first one to step up in front of the cameras. She defended Clark and kept the whole locker room calm. And when Lexie had a rough shooting night, Clark kept passing her the ball until she finally sank one. That's real trust, and you can't fake that. So why would Indiana even think about losing them? Money, plain and simple. The Fever are heading into an off-season where half their bench is hitting free agency, and the salary cap is super tight. They can't pay everyone, but what they really can't afford is to upset the player who single-handedly brought this franchise back to life. That's the crazy power of Caitlyn Clark right there. If she wants someone protected, the team listens. End of story. This is the same franchise that used to make all their decisions based on analytics and these long-term plans. Now, they're making calls based on what keeps number 22 happy. And honestly, that's not even a bad thing. When you have a generational player who fills stadiums, sells a ton of jerseys, and gets you on national TV every week, you build your team around her vision. It's not because she's being demanding, it's because she's earned it. Let's not forget, the Fever were a total mess before she showed up. They didn't just need a point guard, they needed a leader. Someone with a fan base big enough to actually make management care again. Clark brought all of that. So when she pulls management aside and says, "I want Sophie and Lexie back," that's not just a player making a request, that's a move. And for anyone who thinks she's overstepping, here's the truth. This happens everywhere in sports. Superstars influence their rosters. LeBron James does it. Steph Curry does it. Joe Wilson does it. If you're the reason the lights are even on, you absolutely get a say in who's on your team. The difference with Caitlyn Clark is, she's doing it younger and faster than anyone else in WNBA history. Now this is where the story gets even spicier. Multiple insiders are saying the Fever had already planned to cut costs this offseason. That meant not matching Lexie's next contract offer. They pretty much expected other teams to bid on her, seeing her as a defensive specialist off the bench. But once Clark's camp got wind of that, everything changed. Suddenly, management was scrambling, reviewing all their options. Then came the media storm, with rumors of Clark's private meeting with GM Amber Cox. People were talking about player chemistry and Clark's core preferences, and just a week later, the whole tone shifted. Now those same executives who were totally ready to let Lexie walk, they're talking about preserving continuity and rewarding chemistry. Translation, Clark got exactly what she wanted, and it wasn't just about Lexie either. Sources are saying Sophie Cunningham was also on the chopping block. She was under a ton of scrutiny for her outspoken comments, especially after that whole WNBA warning incident. The front office was apparently all set to cut Sophie loose, just to avoid any distractions. But then Clark showed up, she stepped in again, clear as day that she wanted Sophie back too. Think about that. The player who was getting hammered online for defending Clark is now being defended by Clark herself. That's what real loyalty looks like. And that kind of loyalty just put management completely in check. Because here's the thing. If the Fever had actually let Sophie go after everything she did for Clark, it would have been a massive PR disaster. Fans would have seen that as a total betrayal. You simply can't let go of the one player who physically stepped up to protect your franchise star when things got chaotic on the court. That's just not how you build trust with your fan base. So Clark's move, it wasn't just smart, it was completely necessary. She literally saved the Fever from making their own bad decisions and from yet another round of media backlash. Because let's be real, this team doesn't need any more negative headlines. What they need is stability. They need consistency, and they need that locker room energy that keeps players focused on winning instead of all the drama. And the chemistry between Clark, Sophie, and Lexie, that's exactly what it is. They really balance each other out. You've got Clark's fire, Sophie's complete fearlessness, and Lexie's calm defense. That mix is exactly why they were able to punch above their weight all season long. So no, this isn't about friendship or playing favorites. This is all about winning, and Caitlyn Clark knows exactly what it takes to win. What's more, what Caitlyn Clark just pulled off isn't just about saving her teammates, it's a huge statement to the entire WNBA. She basically said, if you want to win with me, you protect my circle. And that message, it hit hard across the whole league, because make no mistake, this wasn't just some small request in the locker room. This was a full-on power move. Clark is now at a point where her voice carries more weight than half the boardroom combined. Every single decision Indiana makes from here on out, trade signings, marketing, it all goes through one question: how does this affect Caitlyn? And honestly, that's how it should be. You don't treat a generational player like some random roster piece. You treat her like the foundation. You build the entire house around her. And this move, it totally proves that. Clark is now the architect of Indiana's future. Now let's be real for a second. When people first heard she stepped in to save Sophie and Lexie, half the internet absolutely freaked out. Some called it favoritism. Others said she was being way too controlling. But here's the thing. Those same critics forget how much chaos this team went through last season. Half the roster was in and out with injuries. The media was a total circus. The league had her under a microscope. She got hammered on the court, booed on the road, and still kept showing up, dropping threes and dragging her team into the playoffs. You just don't survive a season like that without having people truly in your corner. And for Clark, those people were Sophie and Lexie. Sophie was the first one to speak up when everyone else was silent. When critics took cheap shots, she fired right back. When Clark got fouled hard, Sophie was the one ready to throw elbows. That kind of loyalty does not go unnoticed. And Lexie, she's the glue. Quiet, consistent, super calm under pressure. She's the exact kind of player every star needs right next to them. She does all those small things that don't make highlight reels, but absolutely win games. She spaces the floor, defends multiple positions, and never ever complains about her role. You simply cannot replace that kind of chemistry with some random free agent. You cannot trade trust, and Caitlyn Clark knows that better than anyone. So yeah, she used her influence to make sure the team doesn't mess with that winning formula. That's not ego, that's leadership. And if Indiana is smart, they'll definitely take the hint. Because let's be honest, the Fever have been historically bad at keeping momentum. They'll make progress one season, then just blow it all up the next. Clark's move forces them to break that habit. By backing Sophie and Lexie, she's basically saying, stop rebuilding every 6 months. Start building something that actually lasts. And that's exactly what championship teams do. Plus, there's another layer to this story that the media hasn't talked about enough. The timing. This is all happening right before one of the most uncertain off seasons in WNBA history. The collective bargaining agreement is expiring soon, and everyone is bracing for what could be a super messy negotiation. There's a potential lockout looming in 2026, and it has players totally on edge. Nobody wants to be left hanging without a deal or stuck on a team that doesn't value them. That's why Clark's loyalty move hits so differently. She's sending a clear message to the rest of the roster. If you're loyal to me, I will fight for you. In a league where players often feel disposable, that absolutely matters. And for a young superstar to already have that kind of pull, that's truly historic. Even veterans like A'ja Wilson and Breanna Stewart didn't get that level of say-so early in their career. Clark's reach isn't just about her stats anymore. It's all about her influence. When she talks, people listen. When she posts something, fans move. When she makes a demand, ownership acts. It's wild to even think about, but she's becoming the kind of player the WNBA has literally never had before. A superstar with fan base power big enough to actually force decisions. Now let's talk about how this decision impacts the rest of the team. Keeping Sophie and Lexie changes absolutely everything about Indiana's direction. It means they're going for chemistry over chaos. It means they're actually listening to the players who make them watchable. It means they're done pretending that this is just some rebuild. The truth is, Indiana's window is open right now. Clark is in her prime, Boston is dominating in the paint, and the league is finally paying attention. You don't throw that away just to save a few thousand off the cap. This move, keeping Sophie and Lexie, is the Fever saying, we are serious. They're not just keeping role players, they're keeping the heartbeat of this team. And yes, Caitlyn Clark totally made it happen. Now, does this make her the unofficial GM of the Indiana Fever? Maybe not officially, but practically. Absolutely, because think about it. Would this have happened if anyone else had asked? No chance. If Sophie or Lexie had gone to management alone, they'd probably be replaced by now. But with Clark behind them, suddenly they're core culture pieces. That's real power, and it's a great reminder of how fast the WNBA's power dynamic is changing. This isn't the old league, where players just kept quiet and did what they were told. The new generation, led by players like Clark, is changing how front offices operate. They're not just athletes, they're stakeholders. And Caitlyn Clark's move just showed every young player how to use their leverage without saying a single dramatic word. She didn't she didn't post some cryptic quote. She just told her team what she wanted, and she got it. And the fans, they absolutely loved it. The comment sections were full of people cheering her on. Fever fans were calling her the boss. Others were saying, finally, someone who knows what this team needs. Because deep down, everyone knows she's right. Keeping Sophie and Lexie isn't just about friendship, it's about building something real. You win championships by keeping the right people around you. Just ask any great athlete in history. Michael Jordan had Pippen, Kobe had Fisher, Steph had Draymond, and Caitlyn, she has Sophie and Lexie. They're not just teammates, they're extensions of how she plays. They balance her, they protect her, they make the game smoother. And that's why fans are calling this the smartest move of the offseason. Because instead of letting management break apart something that works, Clark forced them to lock it down. That's not diva behavior, that's winning behavior. And honestly, it's about time the WNBA had a star who truly understands how to build a legacy, not just a highlight reel. So now, heading into next season, the Fever literally have everything they need. Leadership, chemistry, and a core that actually believes in each other. And they have Caitlyn Clark to thank for all of that. The league might not love how much influence she's gaining, but they absolutely cannot deny the results. Because one thing is crystal clear, the Fever are no longer a rebuilding project. They're a team being shaped by the most powerful voice in women's basketball. And if management was smart enough to listen this time, it might just be the very first real step toward a championship run.